Welcome to the Her podcast with Kristin Sampson, offering a message of hope, encouragement, and reflection with special guests.
Welcome back to another episode where we are interviewing ministers and their wives and getting to know them a little bit more personally. So, all right, tonight we have a special guest with us, Leah and Matt Heupel. Thanks, guys, for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, we're just going to dive right on in. We don't do like all the little chit chats like some people do. So, we're just going to dive in. Okay, so how did y'all first meet? Like, where did y'all meet?
You go first. You tell your story, then I'll tell mine.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
So my first memory of Matt Heupel was at a vacation Bible school when I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
And he had some little budding romance with some little girl at VBS, you know.
Ooh.
Like, who's that guy? And then a few years later, like junior high, he went to church with one of my best friends from high school. So,
Okay.
and they actually went out a time or two, which is kind of odd. But anyway, so I knew him all through school, and then we worked together.
Yeah, worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Nice.
KY Fry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
All right, your version.
Well, I was going to go like how we started dating kind of thing. Like, but
Okay, take that.
I mean, I didn't know. What VBS was that?
Shiloh.
Oh, I don't remember.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I had known Leah for years. Her dad was a preacher at one of the smaller congregations,
Mhm.
and they didn't have much of a youth group at the time. I guess that's right.
Mhm.
And so you started coming with Krista and Jennifer from school, and we kind of started meeting that way. It's kind of strange that I went out with your friend, but you went out with my friend.
Mhm.
My best friend at the time had the hots for you, and it was really hard to do anything. But you know how you have these arranged marriages
Mhm.
in countries? This was arranged by my parents. I mean, they had this set up, and like you need to ask her out. You need to. No,
Aw.
I can't. That's my buddy's. He's sweet on her. I can't.
Mhm.
And but we played Rook a lot.
We did. When I graduated high school, I was going to another church, but I started going to Atlas where he grew up the summer after I graduated. And it became this thing. I don't know how that got started. And we played Rook every Sunday night for weeks and weeks.
Hmm.
And him and his friend were partners, and me and John Paul were partners. And Matt and his friend, I'm not calling names,
Jerry Floyd.
Jerry,
No.
they cheated.
Ah.
Cheated.
Oh.
Cheated all the time. And me and
Never.
John lost. And
Y'all never beat us. That's all it was.
because
You
they
just
cheated.
never beat us. But yeah, we kind of started from there. I asked her out the first time we went out. We went to eat Mexican food, and was it that night? Is that the night we went to see Christopher Columbus? 1492 was the name of the movie.
Okay.
And was it 72 or 90? 1492. Yeah.
1492.
And I went into. Is that the night I went in to give you a kiss and I had a giant booger in my nose?
No, that was what.
Is that right?
Please don't put that on video.
No.
Well, that's gold. That's gold.
KFC when you ask me out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
You didn't have a giant booger when you're working at
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Well, he wasn't working that day. I was
Okay.
working.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So, Matt, you work as the minister at Woodlawn, and you've been there for
20 years.
20 years now, which has been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Leah, you've been working at TNT.
Mhm.
For how long have you been working there?
Been there for 8 years.
8 years. Okay, so in ministry, as we all know, it's a full-time job whether you're working TNT or not. Like it's you're on y'all are both on the both of y'all on the clock all the time. So how do you manage being working full time and helping with ministry with Matt?
It's gotten a little easier the last couple of years as the kids have gotten older.
Yeah.
Carter's the youngest, and once he was able to drive, that kind of freed up some time. And I haven't always worked full time.
Okay.
I worked part time from the time Emma was about 9 months old until she turned 16. And as you know, kids are expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just never in the cards for us, for me not to work at all. And I've always
Yeah.
been our insurance carrier. And
Yeah.
but when she turned 16 was when I went back to work full time.
What were you doing? Were you doing 4 days? I can't remember now.
Well, it kind of varied. Sometimes I would work 5 days, but I would drop the kids off at school and then I would pick them up in the afternoons to go home. But then
Yes,
there
you
were other
did, yeah.
times that I would work 4 days a week and have a complete day off during the week. So I've been fortunate enough to have some flexible employers through the years. And
Nice.
so it has been easier, though, as the kids got older, to have a little more freedom for them to be able to do what they need to do without me being there to supervise
Yeah.
every little thing. And
Yeah.
um, I'll have to rag on Woodlawn a little bit because I feel like I didn't ever really feel qualified to be a
You did.
minister.
In fact, your words were, "I don't ever want to marry a minister."
I
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
think that
that.
because
Yeah.
your dad was
I
one.
did say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's more to that story, but
Yeah.
they didn't set expectations of me that they didn't set for any other member,
Okay.
hmm
which was a blessing. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
because really, we shouldn't be just doing things because we're the minister and his family. We should be doing these things because we're Christians.
But when we first came there, they had lined me up to come as a tryout lesson, and um, it was getting close to maybe 10 days before
Mm-hmm.
I was to be there, and they gave me a topic, and it was a deep topic, so it was hard to really wrap my head around at the time, and I know why they did it, but then they threw this on me. They said, "Oh, by the way, we have a ladies class. We'd like for Leah to teach it."
Oh no, Leah.
And it was Linda Lumpkins. She's passed on here recently, but was very involved with the ladies class, and just a, a gem of a woman.
Yeah.
Special lady. And she
Absolutely.
they asked Leah to teach the class, and you did. I mean, I assume you did fine. I wasn't in there.
So
But,
you did end up.
I did. I
Wow.
did it.
Good
I
for
said, I'll do this for
you.
you. But that was a little out of my comfort zone. And I was about
Absolutely.
35 weeks pregnant at the time, too.
Yeah, so hormonal.
I was very
Emotional.
hormonal and,
Yeah.
all these changes going on in life. And then I'm going to have to teach a group of ladies.
So was that the first time you ever taught a group of ladies, or had you done
Probably
a
on
lot?
that size. Probably so.
Mhm.
Mhm. I mean, I had done like some really small devotionals and stuff
Yeah.
but not on that scale.
Yeah.
It was intimidating to say the least, but they haven't asked me to do that very many times through the years.
Well, I will say I did hear you. I have been privileged enough to hear you do a devotional with our ladies, and you do a really good job.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
but no, that's pretty neat though. I mean, that's pretty incredible to be like called on the spot to teach and
Yeah.
like that, and to step in, because not many women would have done that. So no matter who they were.
Yeah. And I don't
That's-
think it was really one of those things where they wanted to see how she taught. I think it was
Yeah.
more of one of those things. We want to get to know who she is.
Yeah, and get her
you know,
involved.
and,
and-
but
yeah.
we took it as a teaching moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, we all have our strengths and
Gifts.
different. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you didn't know, like, when did you know you wanted to go into ministry full time?
Mm. Um, I'd always been that kid that was went to Christian school all my life, and we were just drilled these Bible facts. Methuselah was 969. Enoch walked with God. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All these things, and we knew the generations. And I was always the first kid in my class at church to say the books of the Bible or do those because we had done those things for a grade.
Mhm.
And I didn't understand why everybody else didn't know them. I didn't understand why they didn't know these, the Bible stories like I did.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a time where I had graduated high school, and it was like September after I'd graduated, and they asked me to teach the teenage class,
Yeah.
and I'd never done that. Now I was the guy that always led the songs when we went to the nursing home,
Mm-hmm.
and um, we didn't have a full time youth minister at the time. We had devotionals and Bible Bowl, but I really had no clue that's what I wanted to do. I always knew that maybe God was going to use that somehow, and then it was I guess it was Steve Shelton who just said, you need to think about this going into church work." And I'm like, I don't know. I was in a band. I don't know. Well, he
Yeah.
took me to lunch one day. And by the end of the day, we were here with Jim Collins, and I was registered for the
So, oh yeah,
semester.
getting
I
rid of
mean,
Jim Collins.
it was,
You're
I mean, it
sold.
was
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
a time where I had was at UNA and a complete shift in my priorities. And it was one of those things that I didn't see in myself that I could do this, but somebody else saw that they thought I could.
Yeah.
And when I came here to Heritage in the Bible classes, it was like, I don't have to worry about, trigonometry anymore. I don't have to worry about,
Mm-hmm.
mitosis and biology. We're talking about Paul,
Yeah.
and we're talking about Moses. I know that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. I had a lot to learn. I'll say that, but it was like home.
Yeah.
And
You're comfortable with that.
that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And to defend myself somewhat,
Yes.
it wasn't that I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I did say I didn't want to be a minister's wife,
Yeah.
but part of the draw to Matt from the get go was that he was interested in spiritual things. And like I said, when I graduated high school, I started going to Atlas. That's where my friend was, and she was telling me about things going on with their youth program and how they were having these devotionals and things that they were just doing. And I had kind of been without that for the last several years because I was at a small church, and um, I probably was already a little interested in him when I came, and I was like, "Hey, this is a
I
good
didn't know
guy."
that.
I was, and I've got other stories that you probably don't know that were in the works. But anyway,
Well, whoa!
we
You can't do that. You can't do that
you
on
remember
TV
the
here.
connection
Yeah,
I fell out, and we
yeah.
were not dating, but
Did you fall out on purpose?
I didn't fall out on
Okay.
purpose. But I was already interested at that
Oh, I
point.
was too.
So,
Yeah.
um, but anyway, so I was interested. I was interested in Matt Heupel, the youth minister. I wasn't sure about this preacher's wife
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
And like he said, my dad had been a kind of a part-time minister. He always had a secular job as well. But
Okay.
there were a couple of events in my childhood where, he preached a sermon that somebody did not like, and
Yeah,
it
you
was
got to
traumatic.
see
It wasn't that she was
bad
just
sides of it.
anti-ministry.
It wasn't. I'm
It was-
anti-ministry.
It's
No.
just that you knew the behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I saw my parents go through some pain and hurt, and I thought, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
I can love
Right.
God and go to church and serve without dealing with that stuff. But,
Yeah.
as time went on, I saw his talent, and I couldn't deny it. Who am I to?
That's sweet.
I can't
Aw.
say, no, you're not doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, don't feel bad. Same thing like with Caleb. I married him for his potential. And I know. And still we're still
realize-
waiting. So and he went to school to be in business management. And so he got his degree, and that's where I met him, was in college. And I thought we were going to be wealthy, and he was going to, be a manager. And then so we were married 2.3 kids, and he went into ministry. And I remember very distinctly looking at his parents and him thinking, why? Why are we doing this? Like, I don't want to move. We have a dream house, and it was perfect. And now we're going to be in a glass house.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my heart goes out to y'all. Like, because that it's a big deal to be in that light and to be able to help people and to know, but see, knowing that you grew up in the preacher's home, in as a PKer, that you have a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
and going in, and so it helps him too, though,
True.
because then you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. So you're not like I did. I had no clue, and I put preachers up on pedestals and elders and deacons, and so the first 5 years of our preaching ministry was so difficult, so
Mhm.
difficult. But yeah. So okay. So on a lighter note,
Mm-hmm.
what are some hobbies that y'all do to help like reconnect where you both are so busy, you both have stressful jobs? What are some things that y'all do together to reconnect?
We like to take naps.
Forget the long walks on the beach. We like naps.
Yeah.
We like to binge watch TV series together.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
we when you have kids, they're your life.
Absolutely.
And I'll be the first to say we did not take time for ourselves. We would get away on anniversaries or something like
Mhm.
that, and nothing big. We never took a big trip by ourselves. Well, we did go to Tahoe that one time, but I was speaking, so we just used it that way. But
Mhm.
um, we've tried pickleball,
I'm not athletic.
but and she
Me
doesn't have
neither.
to be. I think it's it's fun, but really we sit at home a lot when
Yeah.
we have the moment because we have had so many years where there wasn't any time at home.
Yeah.
And given that the kids are older and they can take care of themselves, or you know not even there, a lot, so we just sit there and we watch TV, and I'll send her funny videos and she will ignore them. And I'll talk about them the next morning,
Understand.
and then I'll
Understand.
make her watch them,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Understand.
it's just that kind of thing. We love hanging out with friends when we get an opportunity to do, but it's just hadn't been, it's been harder in the past years. We used to have
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
friends we hung out with every Friday night and Saturday night and played Rook, played cards. Um,
We enjoyed walking for a while
oh
together. That's a
yeah,
good time
yeah.
to just talk and chat about what's going on in the world and
Mhm.
our lives. Um,
But our life has
yeah.
been basketball games,
Yeah.
soccer games.
But we're
Uh,
about to enter a totally different
yeah.
phase of our life, so there'll be more time
Be more
for.
more walks and
Mhm.
talks. Absolutely. Yeah, no, having kids, that's a full-time job too. So, you know, when you're focused on all those things and being supportive, dad and mom, it takes up a lot of your
Mhm.
time. But
And we
um,
could have done and should have done better in that area. I'll just be honest. We should have done better with that. But in the moment, you're thinking,
this is what you need to do.
this is what I need to do.
And
Oh yeah.
I'll just tell you, she's more of the sacrificial person. She's more of the, um, we do need to do this, but we've got to care for this. We've got to take care of this situation with the kids. We've got to, and it wasn't that we just didn't make time for one another. It was we made sure that the kids were taken care of first.
Yeah. And the important part is too is y'all were on the same page with that,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and that you both wanted to do that.
Hmm.
And I mean, and you can see your kids are amazing. You have great kids. And so that's a reflection on you two. Like being so supportive in their lives, and like how sweet and kind that your children are to others, and the impact that they're making on people today. I mean, especially like Carter. I mean, our kids just love Carter. He's just like the best thing ever. And so I mean, y'all are doing a great job. And it's hard. Parenting's hard. And I mean, we've had, Bible class tonight and about parenting and stuff, and it's not easy. And sometimes just to survive a day, parenting and working full-time jobs is
Exhausting.
Yeah.
it is exhausting. It's absolutely there's no perfect and that's what we were talking about tonight. And this is nobody was in on these conversations, but I think it's so important to know that, there's no perfect mold. There's no and that's the big point of doing these podcasts is we're all different. We all have different upbringings. We all have different marriages. We all
Yeah.
have different ministries. We all have different callings and different ways we can impact other people and each other. And the fact that y'all are still married, still together, and you still, from the outside looking in, y'all look like you have it together and are doing great, and that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And the fact that you're there supporting him, coming to church, being there, because let me tell you, we've seen the other side of that where the wife does not come and you have just the husband coming because she's tired, she's worked all day, and then she had the kids and excuses.
Hmm.
Excuses.
Yeah.
And so I mean it could be totally different, but the fact that you're providing the insurance, you're helping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's huge.
Because in ministry you don't
Mhm.
always get that luxury.
Yeah.
We never had.
Yeah.
And so we've always had to just pay out of pocket, but there are pros and cons, to all that for sure. And that's a personal choice, for you to work to help with that and for you to be able to support him in his ministry and the gift that God's given him and to love him through that. That's huge, Leah. That's like it's a big deal. And to have the good kids that you have who are smart and well behaved, like they're just great kids. They really are.
Thank you.
Now they're not perfect. None
Yeah.
of no, none of them are. None of
We're proud of them.
nobody's
Yeah,
kids are.
but we are very proud of them.
But
and
they are great kids, and they know you can tell that they're loved, and we can tell that y'all love them, and they love y'all. And not only that, but I mean, I've only been here 3 years, but I've never heard anything negative at all about you guys. Everywhere we go, like, oh, that's you. You worship with Matt and Leah. I'm not kidding you, y'all. Like, y'all are a bigger deal than you realize to people,
Wow.
and you may.
That just means we got skeletons in us.
And that's okay.
Oh.
But
Well, I mean, when we, we're sitting here thinking about, and it kind of felt guilty thinking about, well, we just sit at home. We don't have any hobby. I mean, we not hobby eating. We like to go out to eat, but
Love a good snack.
I'm sitting here thinking of what we really enjoy doing, honestly,
Mhm.
is when we're doing stuff with church.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
we love fellowships. We love getting together with, the church folks after, going to eat with people after church or hanging out after church and talking. That's, we feed off that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's okay. That's great. And that's good to know because I know like Caleb and I are the exact same way. Like we feed off of that. We are all about being around people because encouraging other people also encourages us.
Mhm.
Like we could sit and listen to people all day and help and listen and play games and we come back feeling like we've just, won the
Yeah.
lottery.
Yeah.
Like we just feel fantastic and like
Yeah.
but you do need that downtime to sit and not think,
Mhm.
just to veg in order because ministry and full-time jobs, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
It takes a lot out of you in a good way, but it's hard. And so to be able to go to be together and watch TV, that's a big deal because there's some spouses who don't even do that. Like they just do their own thing. They not no communication. So don't feel guilty, in other words, for that. Like, embrace it,
Yeah.
embrace it. Okay, so how do you support each other through um through your profession and growing in your marriage? So how do y'all support each other?
He says, I need to do this. And I say, okay, you go right ahead.
No, that is not it.
No,
Um,
but there is to some extent, like when the kids were little, if he needed to do something, you go do what you've got to do. I'll watch the kids.
Okay.
And then even the years when I was working part-time, I was working in a CPA office. So during January through April, I did have to work full-time during the time of year.
Mhm.
And he would always pick up the slack with the kids then, he might have to pick the kids up from school. So he supported me in that way. If I needed,
That's
because we knew that was a limited time of year. Okay, I've got to put in a little extra time, but it's worth it because I get more time later. And so he would pick up the slack then. And then when I went back to work full time, his schedule was a little, not that he didn't put in as many hours because he definitely did, but he might have a little bit more flexibility. So, like, if I need to go in early, I'll do this for the kids, or I'll put this in the crock pot for you,
And
or just,
I don't sleep much. I don't sleep well. And so there's a lot of times um, I'll stay up late and I don't sit still very well. And I'll do a load of laundry and then
I think I'll do
I
12
think I'll do
more.
all of them, and I'll try to. I'll just it'll just be like a driven to get it all done or something like that. And I don't.
Wow.
It's not her. I've never seen it as her responsibility to care for the home and make sure it's, she does all the cooking, the cleaning,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. I've never. It's never been that way with us. I don't think it's always been more of a partnership with things, and she has supported me in allowing me to do my ministry things. But um, you know, I. I I hope she feels like that she's supported in the help at home, and that it's not,
Not
uh,
just my
yeah.
responsibility. He's been very helpful with that.
That's nice. That's real nice because that's not always the
Now,
case
I'm not
either.
saying I put up the laundry.
So
I
you
don't, I don't mind folding
you
it,
just
but
wash it and put it on the couch,
yeah, but
right?
I'll leave it on the couch for
That's right.
weeks before somebody picks it up.
Well, you can't, not everybody can be perfect. Some of these men are out there going, "Thank you." Thank
Uh,
you. Okay, can you share a memorable moment, a fun, memorable moment in y'all's ministry? Something that stands out to y'all.
Um, the first time I got to go to Tahoe with him was a good thing. I had this vision of what California would be like,
Yeah.
and I couldn't imagine that those people were anything like us Bible Belt buckle Christians out here.
Yeah.
yeah.
But they were, and it was like it's like Maywood Camp for adults out there,
Fun.
and that was also around our 20th anniversary, and so that was the first trip we ever really
It's almost
took.
been 10 years ago.
That was more than a couple of nights away from our
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and so that was a good time. I mean, it was a spiritual thing, a time to grow there and hear lots of good lessons, but it was also time for us to get away. And it's like a recharge in all areas, spiritually and in your marriage and um, personal, and you get to see a different part of the country. So that was a good memory for me.
Yeah, and we've never. I mean, we grew up. Neither one of our families were vacationers,
Not
really.
like some families.
No, maybe the beach a few times, or the mountains here or there, but we never really got to take trips like that. And one of my, I guess my fondest memory um, we after Emma graduated and your mom
Mhm,
passed away,
mhm.
um, we decided to take the funds from the sale of her old home place that she received from her with her brothers and sister. We went to Hawaii, and that was that was awesome. I was terrified at first, but
Yeah.
it was really a great bonding experience for all of us uh, to be. And that was the first time we've ever been away from home that long. Really,
Mhm.
I guess as a family, and just spent 7 8 days out there, and it was.
And you got to preach
Nice.
at the church
I
there in
yeah,
Maui.
that
That
was
was
weird.
exciting
I
for
got to
me.
preach there at Maui, and it was that's probably if I'm on my deathbed and I'm looking back at the memories, those are the
Yeah.
ones that will come back the most. Yeah.
But then there's also other little things, well, that are not really so little, but maybe not as, to some people, monumental, like the fellowship meal that the church did for us just a few weeks ago
Mm,
in honor of the 20th anniversary. That was very meaningful.
yeah. We cried a lot.
We did,
Yeah.
because after 20 years, I mean, those people have become our family,
Absolutely.
and they've helped raise our kids and helped us through, I mean, my mother's sickness and passing.
Carter's
Carter had some
kidney
issues
issues.
through the years with kidney, just you think about all the things that you go through with a group of people,
Yeah.
and I mean that's monumental to me.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I spend more time with our church family now than I do with my physical family. So, all those times are special, and it's part of the ministry, I
Mhm.
guess. It's just
Makes a difference when you have a good church family to grow with like that. And I think that's one speaks volumes of who you two are. And then two, of the elders in the church at Woodlawn as well, because it is not easy to keep to go through all those things and to stay that connected and that together and have that strong bond. But it does speak volumes of who you guys are
Mhm.
and through those things. Because it's not easy, and when you are being transparent and you're letting things down and open and people in your lives like that, that comes with a lot of judgment, a lot of different opinions, different perspectives. And so I think y'all handle things from my perspective pretty well.
Well, we want to be. We we hope we come across as real.
Yeah.
You
that's
know.
what I want to be, that we're just real people like everybody else.
Yeah.
And do you remember when we first came to Woodlawn, we started this thing where we were going to try to have
Oh yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
in our home at some point within so many months. We wanted everybody to at least be invited. And remember, we had several older couples one night come,
Yeah.
and apparently some of those older couples didn't think we were going to be, much. And that night we were just sitting there visiting after we ate, and one of them said, "Well, y'all are just regular folks like we are, aren't you?" Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
and I think that's because people as a whole have the mentality you said you had. The preacher and the elders, they're up on this pedestal. And I wanted to completely do away with that. I mean, I feel like we all should be held to the same standard.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah.
I realize he has chosen this as his profession, and as his wife, I should live up to that as well. But we are real people, and we're going to have struggles, and we're going to mess up, and our kids are going to misbehave sometimes, and we're going to say the wrong things or not handle the situation well.
Mhm.
But I want you to know that about me going in, that I don't think I'm perfect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and what you will get out of me is I think I have a good enough heart. If I mess up, I'm going to say, "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that or acted
Mhm.
this way or said that." And I've had to apologize on several occasions for not.
Well, I don't remember that you had to about anything really specific, but
Well, I mean, just in general, I just want to be seen as real.
Yeah.
yeah.
That she's
Well,
not
that makes a
fake.
difference. It makes a big difference because then you have more people, especially other women, to come to you and open up to you because they know you're not going to be that judgy, thinking you're better than they
Yeah.
are, and
How
you're
could you?
being
How
real.
did you?
Yeah,
When
exactly.
when
Yeah.
we started this, I mean, we'd been used to planning lock-ins and retreats, pizza parties,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And when we took on this role as to be, the ministry team at the church, to the pulpit guy at a congregation, was a lot different. It was a huge learning experience for us because
Mhm.
we were used to networking with the teens,
Yeah.
networking with their parents, so we could do that. But um, when we first got there, it was a lot of well, I don't say it was a lot, but I heard one of the older ladies help me out a lot, Miss Mary Jo Howard. She's gone too, but she'd say things like, "Now you got to make sure you talk to so and so. Make sure you call them, check on them," and that was a little. I'd been worked with Brian Jarrett, had a little bit of experience with visiting hospitals. I did that.
Mhm.
I thought that was part of the job as well, but we didn't go stand at the door at the end of church and greet everybody as they left.
Yeah.
And like the former minister had done before
Mhm.
us,
Yeah.
that had been there for 17 years. And they had grown up with that guy, and that was their preacher. And here comes this new guy in that's young guy who had hair and, but when I was on fire,
Yeah.
we were both really just ready to take this by the horse by the reins and just help this church just explode. We were probably a little arrogant too, going in thinking we can really change everything. And um, really, what we did that night was we just brought in some families of some of the older members that had been there for years and formed some bonds that in that one night that you just could not imagine.
Mhm.
And after that, it's you know we're involved with everybody, and we want to be involved with everybody. We want to experience being with them, riding in their car, listening to them sing Conway 20 out loud, as they listen to us sing Bon Jovi, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to experience the relationships with them as real people and not church members,
Yeah.
but family, friends.
hmm Yeah, I think that's so important today too, to realize that one, the preacher and their wife are just like us, just like the other members. But the difference, I think, the overall, what we all should strive to want to be like is Christ-like, and want to help each other get to heaven. And when you are together and you are bonding like that as like a family, it makes a big difference, and like opening up to each other and being transparent.
Hmm.
That's huge. That's a big
Yeah.
deal. I mean, you can't fake the love that you have for people, and you can't fake authenticity. How do you say that? You can't fake that. Like, you have to be genuine in ministry, because I mean, it over time it will show for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so how do y'all navigate making decisions as a team, especially when faced different opinions?
Most of the time, we're on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, there are, with the exception of where do you want to eat?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
care, what do you want to do, like everybody else. But
Yeah. Yeah.
for the most part, we're on the same page. It's never been um, really a fight on I want this
hmm
as opposed to you want this, and we just can't make a decision.
Sometimes we might disagree a little bit on how to get there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Matt might be a little bit more firm in his, no, it's this, this, this. And I'm like, but let's go about it
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think that may be the more the female
Nurturing.
nurture,
Yeah, kind of thing.
especially with kids stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we have we're on the same page as far as our kids go.
Mhm.
But I'm thinking about certain little situations in our mind. And I think we're all products of our raising too.
Absolutely.
Like I can imagine the way you're handling some things sometimes might be because it was the way your dad
Yeah,
handled it.
my dad would handle it. Yeah.
And I'm probably going to respond a little bit more like, well, maybe not my mother because she was a little bit like this too.
But when you think about it, I mean,
Yeah.
we were so different that you were the baby
Oh,
of your
yeah.
family, and I was
Okay.
the eldest in mine, and I felt like I had responsibility placed on me, and I expected more out of my elder kids, as the oldest. So I always expected more out of them, and
Yeah.
and I don't apologize for that, and we didn't have, but there would be differences of opinion of Matt, you need to be a little easier on that. You have a tone that you don't understand that you have,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you get squeaky with your voice, you know,
Oops. Yeah.
He brought it up. I did not.
kids don't respond well to that, and we've worked through those things where I'd have to take a step back and learn to apologize, but that's the way I would handle it. It was just
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, you do this or you're grounded.
Yeah.
And but being the baby, I guess you got everything you wanted. You were just about, didn't you?
You were loved.
Well, you were an accident coming along,
Yeah,
and
that may be something y'all don't know about me. I am the
No.
youngest of
Okay.
4 children. And my parents were 43 and 45 when I was born. Their oldest son was already married. They had a 2-year-old grandson. Their daughter was about to get married, and their youngest child was 15.
Wow.
And they're planning my sister's wedding, and mom's not feeling good. And my sister takes her to this doctor in Loretta up the road from the house. And when she came out from the doctor, my sister's waiting there on her. And she says, "Well, Mom, what did they say about you?" And she said, "They said I'm pregnant," and slammed the piece of paper down.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oop.
Mm.
That
Wow.
was probably not such a big
Okay.
deal now. Maybe 40 somethings have babies, but in that time, in the
That was a big
70s, I
deal.
mean,
Mm.
she thought she had her family raised. She was a
Yeah.
grandmother, and here I come along and rock her world.
Yeah.
What's neat about that
So
is,
I was born at a different phase of their life,
yeah.
and so I did get things that the others didn't
And they were a
get.
lot more laid back too.
Oh yeah,
They
absolutely.
had learned
Yeah, a
from
lot
most
more
things.
laid back
So
with things, and my dad tells the story because my dad worked at Reynolds, an aluminum factory at graveyard shift, and then he'd work on cars during the day. He had a little Volkswagen place, Car Mart, he called it, and um, her dad had bought some cars from my dad.
my first 2 cars were bought from
Yeah,
his dad.
and
Interesting.
when my parents would tell the story that Doug would come over there to have something done to the car. And one day he said, "You're not going to believe this, but Marcy's pregnant." And that was the running joke that they had, that they knew about Leah before, I did, because I was just a baby and she was coming along. And
So it was meant to be from day one.
Right?
hey, when you look back at things, there's a lot of ways God was working in matters that we could not even see.
So all that to say, yes, I probably was a little bit on the spoiled side.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not all your
I don't even know if I remember what the question is anymore.
Yes, sir.
But how we work.
How do you
through
work
those
together,
things, how we
differences,
work
yeah.
through those, I think we just learn through trial and error, just like everybody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, fun times. Well, I didn't know that. That's pretty neat. That's so you had like a lot of parents then too,
Mhm.
because all the siblings and
Mhm.
yeah, you definitely get
Our
yeah.
sister is like, I mean, it's like a mom to
She's
her.
another mother.
Yeah, it was another mother. It was great. Uh, I learned a lot from Doug and Marcy, as watching them. They were older, and it was an experience. Wouldn't take nothing for it.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. Well,
Mhm.
fun fact.
Mhm.
Okay, so what advice would you offer to other couples striving to balance career, ministry, and thriving in your relationships?
Something that we have started doing recently that really makes a difference in my whole day is before I leave for work, we pray together.
That's
And
good.
I mean, we should have been doing that.
Yeah, that sounds awful. That's something that we've just now started
Well,
doing.
I
But
mean, but it's like to start the day
yeah,
before we head our separate ways for the day. And it just kind of sets the tone.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it sounds silly, but maybe it doesn't. The days that we forget or whatever, and we don't pray together before I
Mhm.
leave, it seems like my day just doesn't go quite as well.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, that and don't wait until your 20th anniversary to make time to get away.
Yeah.
I know
yeah,
it's hard, but
yeah.
make time for just each other that way. When your kids grow up and move away from you, because they will.
Sadly, but they
Emma.
do.
Thanks
That's
a lot, Emma.
right.
You still need to like the person that you fell in love with. So,
Absolutely. Rekindle that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes there's a lot. Time is it goes so fast.
mhm.
And you focus because you want your children to be the best versions of themselves and you pour everything into them. And it's easy to get lost in that for sure.
What do they say? The days are long, but the years are short. And it goes by so quickly. You don't even. Everybody tells you that, and
You just have
but
to
you don't see
experience
it. You don't
yourself.
see it until you're through it, and um, I would advise if I could speak to my younger self, I would say, slow down,
Yeah.
enjoy things, take your time with life. Don't it's not always a rush. It's not always, has to get done right now. Take your time and enjoy the little things with your kids and with your wife. And
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's the little things that make the big things. Thank you guys for joining and being here and letting
well, thank
us
you
a
for
little
doing it. I
glimpse
like this. This is cool.
into your lives and the encouragement. And there's not this mold that we all fit in as people, as Christians, as preacher wives, as ministers, and that we all have different unique abilities and experiences, and we all have different upbringings and different perspectives, and that we're all just trying to be the best versions of ourselves as well, and be the best people we can be, and encourage as many people as we can along the way. And we really do appreciate you guys, and y'all are doing a really good job, and y'all have done a great job with the kids, and
Well,
we love you guys
I
very
appreciate
much.
that.
Too.
So,
And we couldn't do it without each other. We couldn't do it without,
oh,
you
absolutely
know,
not. Yeah.
it, giving the other one slack and being forgiving, the
Hmm.
benefit of the doubt. And so far, so good. Life's good.
Well, good.
Mm.
Well, thank y'all.
Thank
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this, and
Absolutely.
look forward to watching everybody else's.
That's right. Well, thank y'all for joining, and I hope you are find hope in this and encouragement and be able to reflect on your walk with God.